Are these things we need to vote on, Amanda?
Hear me?
We're good. Rita's on.
Yeah, I'm in. Tom Smith is on.
Do any of us know what's happening?
I don't know. All we got was that initial message.
Okay, but we can hear each other. We just don't know what's going
Yeah,
on
we're
there.
just not connected to City Hall.
Yeah. Mayor, can you just let me know if you hear me?
I can hear you, Jared. This is Carrie. I can hear you, Jared.
Uh-oh, it sounds like it's doing the echoing.
Not on this end.
Oh, it sounds like it's doing the echoing.
Alder Burmaster, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
said she could. There you go.
Okay, Alder Burmaster, try it one more time.
I can hear you.
Okay, I think we might have it now.
But the mayor,
Mayor Smith, can you hear me?
Okay, I
okay,
think I just heard Jared.
yes, thank you. All right, I'll recap where we are. I did the call to order and roll call. Mayor, we did include you. We didn't hear you respond, but we saw that you were on, so you're included as present.
Thank you.
I did mention that Alder Wolf is here present, and now I understand that Alder Burmaster is also online, so I'd like that in the record as well. We did the consideration and action of the minutes, and those passed unanimously. We are now on item number 3, public input. Anyone who would like to provide public input, you're limited to 3 minutes per individual. Please identify yourself by your name and your address. First call for public input. Yes, go ahead.
Not public input, but just for the record, you can't see this, Alder not, but Alder Tom Smith is also present online.
Who else is?
Alder Tom Smith is also present.
Oh, Tom Smith, okay. So Alder Tom Smith is also present. Thank you. We'll put that in the minutes as well. So again, first call for public input. Second call for public input. Do you see anyone online that is a citizen?
There's no one, I can't, my computer's.
Do you see anyone over there?
No one else.
Okay. Third and final call for public input. Public input is closed. Item number 4, final special assessment cost for the 2021 city projects. Jared.
Thank you. Attached in your handout tonight under item number 4, the final special assessment costs for a variety of projects that have been taking place this summer. We have special final assessment costs for the Greens Coulee Roundabout, the utility project, and the miscellaneous concrete project that have all occurred within the city. These costs are used as the assessment costs on projects when we do various work for entities. And these costs are also include a 7.5% administrative fee as shown in the special assessment costs. These are all in line with what we would expect, and we're part of the publicly bid projects. So looking for approval of the final special assessment costs tonight.
Okay, thank you, Jared. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I move,
Oh, go ahead, Mayor.
I move to approve the final special assessment cost for the 2021 city projects as described in our packet.
Where, all right, so I have a motion by Mayor Smith and a second by Alder Olson. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, say nay.
I,
Motion passes. Item number 5, professional engineering services for State Trunk Highway 16 multi-use path project. Jared.
Thank you. In your packet tonight, there is a professional engineering services agreement from MSA Professional Services Incorporated. This would be for a section of off-street path that would connect from the existing off-street path by the Dick's Sporting Goods and proceed towards South Kinney at the Quick Trip that is in the corner of South Kinney State Trunk Highway 16. This project has moved along a little faster than what we had anticipated. La Crosse County had applied for a grant, Transportation Alternatives Grant, to complete the trail from South Kinney up to the landfill at Emerald Drive. They did receive that grant and they were able to move their paperwork forward fast enough to start their design process. In that, the city has committed through previous discussions with the county, and we had already slated as a project to complete the path between the entrance by Dick's Sporting Goods up to South Kinney as a city project. Part of the reasoning for this is we wanted to have the path extended up to South Kinney So we'd have access to the Gunderson Clinic area. As part of this also, it's a tight section that through the grant paperwork would have been difficult to design. So we intend to do this as a city project, budgeting for it at a future date. With this design started, it is the opportunistic time that we would jump on with their designer, which is MSA, to start our design. With that, they're going to be out there surveying very soon. We could proceed and we would receive with this services the design of that off-street path, and then we would use that to budget in a future capital improvement year of 2023 for the construction, and then we would actually use these plans into a city plan set as part of one of our paving projects. So in the end, we will expend funds for the design, but we will be, I believe, saving funds in the long run on the construction costs because we can bid out and provide those services, that paving of that trail at a lower cost than what will be on the grant project. So with that tonight, we are looking for an approval of $24,200 for the services for the design of the off-street path, as I outlined. This would be funded from the Greens Coulee roundabout savings that was seen with that project cost coming in substantially lower than what was in the capital improvements budget. That would be our funding source for this agreement. It will be a great, once this is constructed, this will complete the path all the way from Southside La Crosse all the way to West Salem. They're also going to put a bridge over the La Crosse River as a separate part of a different project. So you'll literally be able to ride on this off-street or walk all the way for many miles. So it's a great connection for the city path. We did look at being the sponsor about 10 years ago for the section the county is doing. And they took the lead on it as part of it, which was a great thing for the city also. So this would be our contribution toward completion of that path.
Okay, so the recommendation is for $24,200 to continue the South 16th and South Kinney Coulee Road multi-use path. And it would be the savings from the Greens Coulee roundabout. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Right, motion made by Alderman Olson and seconded by Jared Holter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed? Motion passes. Item number 6, professional engineering services for stormwater drainage analysis for Main Street Storm Lift Station. Jared.
Attached in your packet tonight is a outline of professional services from Strand Associates for a analysis of the drainage area for the stormwater drainage lift station at Main Street. This was originally constructed in 2011 and 12. The original analysis was done in 2010. With recent rain events, the city staff have looked at this area and with upcoming projects that are going to be completed in the area, thought it would be prudent to update the modeling with what was actually constructed in that area for the lift station and look at some different options on how possibly that area could be improved beyond our normal design criteria. With that, we would also look at alternatives as outlined in the proposal. We have a variety of alternatives that we would look at, and the model would look at what benefit we would gain from those alternatives, and then we could work up a cost estimate and do a cost benefit analysis on what those alternatives would bring for the drainage basin. So I guess with that, this also was not budgeted, but once again is being brought forward due to the recent rain events that we've occurred this summer. The stormwater utility would pay for this out of their contractual services. It would run that account over the budgeted amount, but I feel that the overall stormwater utility budget could handle this expense.
Do I understand that the cost is expected to be $39,900? Is that what I'm reading?
That is correct.
Right, and I also I'm curious as to the standard. So the previous standard or the existing standard, I guess, is that our sewage stormwater systems are not the same thing. The stormwater drainage systems are designed for a 100-year event, which is actually defined as a 1% annual chance of that rain event, which is 3 inches in an hour. Is any additional, I guess, engineering, will that increase or sustain the current standard?
This would take our existing lift station as installed and model it for a 1% annual chance event for a 2-hour storm, which is what the station was designed for. Also would look at a 1% annual chance event for a 1-hour storm, and also then a 0.2% chance event for a 1-hour storm. And with that modeling, we would then look at some alternatives on, as outlined in section 3, that would look at what could we do to make the drainage basin better. And then with those alternatives, then staff could take item 4, which is a draft and final letter, and then take that and work it into a capital improvements project if we feel the cost benefit analysis would justify so.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the engineering costs that we're gonna have to talk about that new pump assembly on Main Street, the one that we're currently talking about,
I think this is an analysis.
analysis.
Yeah, it'd be a computer modeling and alternative analysis. Correct.
So is that what you're making the motion for, Jim? Okay. Is there a second? I'll second. Okay, so motion made by Alder Olson, seconded by myself, Steve Knott. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to make a comment if I may.
Sure.
Want to thank the engineering department for their help with the latest flood. Kevin gave me some really good instruction on that, and also what we're discussing tonight. Thank you very much for taking a look at this. Excellent, guys. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And number 7, change order number 2 for Green Coulee Roundabout Project. Jared.
Attached is a proposed change order number 2 with Gerke Excavating for the 2021 Green Coulee Roundabout. This change order would be at a total cost of $21,900. If you go to this item in your packet and look at the air photo within this packet tonight, you can see there's a parking lot between Green Coulee Road to the west, and it has the Coulee Golf Bowl maintenance shed. Directly to the south of that parking lot is the drainage way that connects between the 2 box culverts, the one under Greens Coulee Road and the one under East Main Street. As part of the Green Coulee Roundabout project, a wall was extended to ensure that we could have enough room to build the roundabout, and then also to hydraulically carry the water between the 2 box culverts. As part of this, the box culverts actually sit on DOT property, but that parking lot sits on the Coulee Golf Bowl property. Once we got into the construction of the roundabout, it was very apparent that in order to construct the wall and maintain traffic, which we had to do to keep Greens Coulee open, we had to work off of the north side of the box culverts, which is in the Coulee Golf Bowl parking lot. As part of that, then we looked at the parking lot, and in conjunction with the owner of the Coulee Golf Bowl, looked at this area and ascertained this cost for the parking lot. The actual cost that was going to be sustained was $24,900. Gerke actually gave a credit to this because it made the construction possible. We looked at this as thirds. If you looked at the parking lot, and in hindsight, what should have happened was the fact that the parking lot, we should have negotiated for a temporary limited easement to construct the box culvert. So in order to have that TLE, we would have had to have purchased that TLE. And I feel now that we are purchasing our TLE that we should have gotten in the first place for the 1/3 cost of the parking lot. In the bid, we already had costs for a driveway connection. So the part that connects onto Greens Coulee Road, we had already included that within our bid as part of the construction cost. So that's where we got the other third. We split that between what we had already budgeted for the project and the contractor, and that was a discount that they applied. Then the other third, if you look in your packet tonight, you do see a waiver of special assessment for the other third of the cost by the owner. Because the owner does understand that not all the parking lot would have been disturbed and they are receiving benefit from this. I think this ended up being a win for all those involved. It was a win for the contractor. They gave a little bit. The owner paid for a third of the cost and the city paid for a third of the cost that we should have compensated for to begin with, and then what we would have replaced in the end. So I feel this is a very good conclusion to a subject, and in order to keep the project moving, we moved forward with, I looked at this, talked to Eric about it, and, you know, we didn't want to stop the project with the fact that not letting them use the parking lot. So it's staff's recommendation that we move forward with this. We would have monies in the contingency for the project to be paying for this cost. We really haven't seen any change orders in the project other than those that were approved for the rapid flashing beacons. So I think everything will be within what we had figured for the budgeted costs, even with this.
So Jared, just to clarify, I got understand the total cost is 21,900, but the reimbursements, you've got 3,000 from the contractor and $8,189.70 from Cooley Golf, which leaves our amount. I've got $10,710.30 not to exceed.
It would actually be 3,000 more than that because the 21,900 is after the $3,000 discount.
Got it. Okay. So you're talking $13,710.30.
And we would have had approximately, because we don't know until we would have actually did the saw cut in the field, we would have had approximately $5,000 just in replacing the parking lot driveway approach and getting it to work out with the new grades of the street anyway.
Okay.
But we're gonna save on our bid quantity by doing this change order. Our bid quantity for asphalt driveways will actually be less.
No, I just want to make sure we're all clear on it. So the cost won't exceed $13,710.30.
City cost will not exceed that.
Right, city.
Final cost.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Make a motion to approve change order number 2 for Green Coulee Roundabout Project.
Second,
So motion by myself, Alder Knott, seconded by Mayor Smith. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 8, the 2022 to 2026 capital improvements budget. So before I turn it over to Jared, I do want to make a couple comments myself. First off is clearly anybody who's a member of this board or anyone who receives permission from this board to speak can address any line item they would like tonight. But however, the intent of this from the Public Works folks is this is an initial information packet, and that it's more intended that we review it. If we would like, make appointments with Public Works to go over any questions we may have on it, and then next month, any remaining questions be brought before the board, and then in November, we would make a vote to approve or not to send this forward. Is that correct, Jared?
Yes, so I would bring this forward tonight for information. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at the proposed capital improvement budget for the city. With that, I would like to go through it then at the October meeting and start the removal of projects to get it to a budget number that we can feel the city wants to move forward with. And with final approval and final project list at the November Board Public Works meeting for a December public hearing on this subject, and then the capital improvements budget would be forwarded to the Common Council for final approval in the December meeting cycle. With that, we can go over whatever projects if someone does have a question tonight, but I would welcome anyone any elected official or anyone that might have questions to contact the engineering department. And I'd be more than happy to go through projects with them, explain what they are. We do have a variety of projects that were requested from various departments within the city. Those projects have been gone through by staff, and looking at the projects, I think all the projects have a value, and I don't think any of the departments have given any projects moved forward that are not within the bounds of what a proper request would be. If you look at the final cost for the proposed capital projects, we're just over 10 million. I wasn't trying to get it at 10 million, but we're like right at 10 million. Typically, we have, as a city, been borrowing through our bonding process about 3.5 million each year. So as you can see, there's a lot of projects on here that will not make it to the final list. This is really no different than a lot of the previous years we've had. It gets very difficult for removing projects, trying to prioritize projects. But just in general, our process seems to work to get to the point that we feel we got the best outcome for the city as a whole. So I don't know if Eric has anything he'd like to add with that.
I do. A couple things of note that make this year a bit unique to that as well. One is, as former finance director Fred Bueller had mentioned, our short-term debt servicing is relatively high compared to our longer-term debt servicing. And that's a function of items that don't have a 20-year lifespan. We can't borrow 20 years over in the bonding market. So we do rely on the state trust fund window of 5-year borrowing, slightly higher rates, but it means we have to pay it off in 5 years. So we look at that chart that we seem to be getting awfully high for borrowing for non-durable goods, if you will. But there are things like the police cars, things we can't borrow for 20 years. They don't last 20 years. That are expensive, and we do have a great replacement cycle on them that we would want to look at maintaining. So that's one consideration as we look at the projects here, is to what degree can we continue to borrow a short term. The other consideration is the receipt of the fiscal recovery funds under the ARPA Act. And we do have uncommitted $2.1 million over the next several years that we can spend. And one alternative for that funds could be then, in place of borrowing for the items that would normally be on the 5-year window, look at expending those funds for the next several years on those very same items. Potentially meaning that we could still borrow the $3.5 million, but borrow it at longer terms, that full amounts, and expend anything that we would normally borrow 5 years out of the ARPA funds. So as you review those projects, keep in mind some of the items that we're looking at that we are borrowing for, we may have other resources for, and that may reserve our borrowing capacity for longer term debt. Now let Sabrina challenge me in any of those, please, if I've misspoken anything.
No, I won't challenge you to anything other than shortly after I started, I met with Bradley, our representative at Bayard, and he recommended that we try to decrease our bond term. So instead of 20 years, like slowly cutting it back to about like 15-year bond term. So something to think about as we move forward as well.
So again, as mentioned, this is an initial proposal for information only at this time. We do not require any approval or disapproval, so no motion is necessary for this item. That said, does anyone else have any input that they'd like to provide? Jerry.
I'll be just for information for next month. I'll be bringing back forward the 2022 capital improvement list for discussion, but doesn't mean we can't discuss the other years. If we move, obviously, if we do have a project that's removed from the list, it'll automatically move into the next year's 2023 capital improvement budget.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion from anybody? Okay, we will move on to item number 9, East Avenue Mini Roundabout Public Information Meeting. Jared.
Wanted to alert everyone that we will be having this Thursday, a public information meeting on the proposed mini roundabout at East Avenue and Riders Club Road to gather input on the proposed intersection improvement. We have sent out a public mailing list to the neighborhood, but we would include and invite anyone from the public that want to attend this meeting. It will be informational with some public exhibits, and we will be proposing to close the intersection for a length of time while we construct the mini roundabout and detouring traffic a few blocks around that area. And we have invited all of the possibly affected properties that would have the detour going past them specifically to the meeting. So, but just wanted to alert everyone that we will be having the meeting, and we are still moving forward with our hopeful spring 2023 construction date.
Okay, also want to highlight that the city clerk office did send out a notice of possible quorum as well.
Correct.
All right. Any discussion on this? Okay, item number 10, pay estimates. Back to Jared again.
In your packet tonight, we've got 11 proposed pay estimates, and staff is recommending approval of the pay estimates dated September 7th, 2021, and would be available to answer any questions.
I'll entertain a motion. Okay, I move to approve the monthly pay estimates, items number 1 through 11 as provided in our packet.
Second.
Okay, so motion made by myself, Alder Knott, seconded by Alder Olson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Motion passes. And number 11, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. There a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, so motion to adjourn by Alder Olson, seconded by Jared Holter. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Time is 7:08.
The next meeting will be much longer.
Probably.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.